I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, and today we're going to make a fast, fun quilt. You're going to love it, so let's jump right in. The fabric I'm using today is Callie & Co. by Corey Yoder. The background I'm using is Bella Solid Color 200, a gray for my binding, a low volume for my backing, and today we're making the 48-inch square quilt, which is our small lap. You want to download this free pattern, and we're going to jump right in and get sewing. So let's talk about your Jolly Bar and if you can starch to make this quilt. That's the number one question we get. And if you look at this Jolly Bar, I have starched it and it shrunk about a 1/4 inch across this way right here. So what I wanted to show you is you can starch it. It will shrink slightly, but you have to be careful when you're cutting. Each Jolly Bar you need one 4.5 inch square. So I'm going to cut that first and just show you. Get it as close to the edge as you can. So that one's easy. And this one was starched, so you can easily get that 4.5. But then you need two 2.5 inch squares. So if you try to cut it this way, you won't have enough because you can see it shrunk exactly a 1/4 inch this way. So to get your two 2.5 inch squares, you have to go this way. So what I'll do is cut these two sides, cut 2.5 across, and then subcut this down. And from each Jolly Bar, the way that I've cut it is this way. So it's this, this, and this. And you just have a little tiny piece. I guess you could keep it if you wanted to. It's really small. It's only like 2 inches left. But you can starch if you want to make this. And what I would always recommend, no matter what pattern, so it tells you to cut 36 of your Jolly Bar rectangles up. Before you do all of them, cut one. Make sure you got it before you go on to all the rest of the pieces. So you could always start with your least favorite fabric. That way, in case you make a cutting mistake on that first cut, you mess up the fabric that you like the least. So now we've cut our fabrics, let's go ahead and assemble. The Jolly Bar Jumble is the pattern we're making today. It's part of our Shortcut Quilt series, and any of the videos that have shortcut in them mean they use pre-cuts. The pre-cut we're using today is a Jolly Bar. That is exclusively available at Fat Quarter Shop. It is a stack of fabrics that are 5 inches wide by 10 inches tall. Now this quilt has 3 sizes. For your small lap quilt, you would use 1 Jolly Bar. For your large lap quilt, you would use 2 Jolly Bars. And for your queen, you would use 3 Jolly Bars. This quilt is so easy because the block can be made in 2 steps. So remember those 2.5 inch squares that we cut, you're gonna put those alternating. You're gonna add 2 background 2.5 inch squares, sew those together with a 1/4 inch seam, and when you go to press, you're gonna press towards your pink and your gray. You're gonna sew these together with a 1/4 inch seam. After you've sewn that first 1/4 inch seam, you're going to press towards your darker fabrics. Then you're going to do the very last seam and you're going to press that open. And this is how your piece is going to look on the front. And this is how it's going to look on the back. Now, of course, you can press any way you want. Totally up to you. You could even press the whole thing open. So this is your 4-patch unit. And for your small lap, you need to make 36 of these. Then you're going to take that 4.5 inch square that we cut and put that opposite and make sure your fabric colors are going this way, not this way. And then you're going to take some background 4.5 inch squares and put them like that. And again, just make sure your colors are going this way. You're going to sew this with a 1/4 inch seam, and this time you're going to press towards your backgrounds. You're going to do your second 1/4 inch seam and then press that open. And this is what it's going to look like when it's sewn on the front and the back. You're going to be making 36 of these, and this should be about 8.5 inches unfinished, so that when you put it in your quilt, they will be finished blocks of 8 inches. Then you're going to take this and we're going to place them just like this, and you're going to lay it out 6 by 6. And I'm going to show you that quilt now. So like I said, this is how you lay out your blocks, all the same direction. And you're going to do 6 by 6 for the small lap quilt, and I bet you could make this quilt in about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Now this one we quilted with a cute pantograph called Daisy Duo, and you can see the front of the quilt. It's really nice and fresh and modern with all of the background prints. So really your background selection is going to be the most important selection of what you do today. And then here's our backing, and like you guys know, I always love a low volume on the back of my quilts. Thanks for watching the Jolly Bar Jumble quilt. I love it. If you haven't sewn with the Jolly Bar, you gotta do that. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on our next Shortcut Quilt.